So, The Walking Dead is back with the 6th episode of season 11. This episode is called On the Inside, and I think this is safe to say this is the scariest episode they have ever done. And if you haven't seen this episode, do not watch this review because this review is going to contain full spoilers for this episode. So, you've been warned. Of course, The Walking Dead is a horror TV show, but I've always thought it was horror purely because it has zombies in it and you see a lot of people getting ripped open. But for me, it's never been terrifying. I've never been horrified of anything I ever watched. I've never watched anything and just been uncomfortable as I watched it. Now, I wasn't in this episode, but this I feel like is the closest The Walking Dead has ever got to being a horror movie, and it was such a creepy episode, and I'm actually chuffed we actually did get to see an episode like this before the show wrapped up. One of the strongest elements about this episode was the fact that Connie is deaf. I feel like if Connie wasn't deaf, it wouldn't have been anywhere near as enjoyable as it actually was. Her having that element that she is deaf makes it even more terrifying, kind of reminiscent on Don't Breathe, where you've got the blind man, but it's swapped the other way around this time. You're kind of rooting for the deaf girl, opposed to Don't Breathe, but you're, of course, not rooting for the blind man. But honestly, all of the things we got with Connie and Virgil were absolutely brilliant. Virgil was a character who I didn't really care if he lived or died. Now, I'm still in that place. I don't really care if he lived or died. But after this episode, I can say I like him. I'm a fan of Virgil now. I actually want to see his story moving forward. Like, if I was kind of happy for his story to end at the end of episode 13 last season when Michonne left, I was like, okay, I'm happy enough. Let's leave Virgil's story there. Of course, we got to see him at the end of episode 16, and now we're picking up with him again in episode 6 of season 11, and I'm glad we are seeing him again because what we got with him and Connie in this episode was really, really good. And I imagine moving forward they're going to have a very strong bond because the two of them went through quite a lot in this episode together. First off, you see them just running through the woods panicking, and you can see something's looking at them and something's chasing them. Immediately I was thinking, okay, it's probably not a walker, and I was leaning towards, okay, it's probably a person. But the way they were going and the way fast the creature was going, like, okay, maybe it could be like a wolf or something. And prior to the episode coming here, Angela Kang, I think it was Angela Kang anyways, released a photo of what looked like a walker sitting on top of a wardrobe. And when I first saw that, I didn't know it was Walking Dead related. My first reaction was, oh, is this something, because I know they're doing an Exorcist remake, so I was thinking, oh, is this something to do with The Exorcist? So I was quite surprised to see it was actually Walking Dead. So for the whole week I was speculating, going, is this because it's a new version of the walkers, or what the hell is this creature? And as the episode goes on, I was still wondering, going, what the fuck is happening here? You could tell that they were not walkers as the episode was playing out, but what you watch in this episode and how you see these people react is honestly just very, very unsettling. First off, you see Connie is actually going through serious PTSD from being what happened to her in the cave. You see situations where she stops and she has like these big flashbacks or whatever to what happened there, and you can see she's really, really struggling with what happened to her. But then they're going through the house, they're looking around, she kind of opens up a medicine cabinet to see if she can find anything, and then she sees an eye looking back at her. Immediately my mind went to the end of Jeepers Creepers. If you've seen Jeepers Creepers, you know what I'm talking about, but my mind went straight to there. And even moving forward, there's so many great scenes like that where you're just looking at these people and they're so unsettling. You see Connie goes down, she tells Virgil they're not alone, so then they start to go look through the house again together, and then they get separated, and then from that point onwards it's just non-stop. You see Connie running for her life, you see Virgil running for his life, you see Connie gets away at one point but she stays still and she's just trying to catch her breath because of course she can't hear. Like, I was looking at it, I was thinking, oh, okay, the guy's gone, you can hear he's walked away, but of course Connie can't hear that. I don't know why my brain didn't immediately go. I was thinking, he's gone, why isn't she walking away? But of course Connie can't hear that. And I also like that they've done that a lot throughout the episode. There's a lot of points where we're in a situation the same way Connie is, so we can see stuff but we can't hear it just like Connie, so we'd see what's behind Connie. Of course Connie can't see what's behind her, but the fact that they took the volume away and we couldn't hear anything at all really added to the intensity of a lot of these scenes that revolved around Connie. But there's a point where she's inside the walls and she starts banging on the wall. See Virgil's making his way over, getting ready to stab through the wall, just assuming that it's one of these creatures. And then you see one of the creatures kind of getting out from the back. He slowly starts creeping towards Virgil, and I was getting very nervous for Virgil because just the way this guy was creeping out was just so creepy and so unsettling. And I can't even remember. It kind of reminded me of I can't even remember. There was some creature from some horror movie that was in a very tight box, and they're able to pull themselves out, and it just looked very like that. Even though he was just coming out from the corner, it just very reminiscent of that. And I just honestly, I keep saying it, but the horror elements in this episode were honestly next to none inside the Walking Dead universe. It was fantastic to see him then very close to actually coming to actually dying in this moment where he gets stabbed in the back a couple of times, and even you see Connie starts banging on the wall, distracts him. Virgil then stabs the guy goes away, and then Connie and Virgil rip the wall open so they can be reunited. They're making their way through the house. You can tell they're terrified. Virgil's even saying, "You just go, I'm happy enough to sacrifice myself in this moment." She's having none of that. She knows that if they're getting out of here, they're getting out of here together. And it was fantastic to actually watch them make their way out of here, seeing how smart Connie was in the moment. She's all around them. She knows there's still walkers at the door. She puts walker guts all over, opens the door, and you see all these creatures get absolutely destroyed. And it's mad that they were just humans. They were humans that are, the lack of a better word, they are too far gone. You always saw Rick and the group back in season 4, season 5 being worried that they're too far gone, but looking at this, they were nowhere near too far gone. This is a group who's living like they're dressed like Tarzan. I imagine they don't talk anymore. They walk on all fours, and they were luring Connie and Virgil there so they could eat them. These people are savages. They are closer to walkers than they are to humans, and honestly, I loved that this was an inclusion in the Walking Dead universe, because of course they are 12-13 years into the apocalypse, so I imagine some people haven't had it as good as they've had it back in Alexandria, so it's kind of inevitable that some people would resort back to these ways of living, because like what they have nothing else they can live for, so they immediately start working backwards in evolution. And I thought all of that was fantastic, seeing them all die. Honestly, everything with Connie and Virgil, I absolutely love in this episode. You also got to see, what's her name? Kelly, who is, of course, Connie's sister, going out looking for Connie. She comes across Connie's bag at one point. She sees a message saying it's not safe here that Connie had written. You see the horse that Virgil had died. So you see them going out. Kelly falls over, but then, of course, Carol, Magma, and Rosita find her. They all go out looking together. There's not much to the story. It's just you see a lot of desperation from Kelly's side of things, where she's just desperately out there trying to find her sister. But the moment they reunite at the start of the end of the episode was honestly, it was fantastic. I didn't cry, but it was definitely a tear-jerker moment. I imagine some people would cry in that moment because they haven't seen each other since before episode 8. I actually can't remember the last time they saw each other. We know the last time the group had seen Connie was episode 9 of last season, but I can't remember when Kelly and... Oh no, Kelly was in the I think Kelly was down there, so even episode 9, so it's been just a little under a season since they've seen each other last, and you can just see the emotion, the joy, just the sigh of relief that both of them feel. Like Kelly's like, oh my god, you're actually alive, and Connie's like, oh my god, I'm going back to Alexandria now. You can see just so much relief from both of them, and honestly, I thought that was a whole fantastic scene of seeing them reunite. Last story we did have was in terms of Daryl. First off, we actually get to see him tortured a guy who I actually cannot remember his name, but is a member of Maggie's group. You see them torturing him. He's not really having any of it. Daryl cuts off his finger, and then he reveals what house they were meant to be meeting at. And you just see all this brutal torture scene. I was expecting Daryl to do something like this, because I knew he'd have to keep his place with the Reapers. I imagined if it was someone like Father Gabriel, or I don't know, Maggie, or someone he has a relationship with, I think he might have found it harder to do that. Maybe he might not even done it. But he doesn't know this guy. Like, we don't know this guy. I can't even remember the guy's name. Like, he dies at the end of the episode. He's probably never going to get mentioning it. Maybe Maggie's going to say, where is he? But I don't care about him. Daryl certainly doesn't care about him. So, like, seeing Daryl chop off his finger was honestly brutal, because I don't remember Daryl torturing anyone since season 2 with Randall. I can't remember Daryl doing anything like this since then, so it's kind of cool to see Daryl go complete boss on this guy and just fucking destroy him. But they get the location, they start making their way out there, and you can see Daryl's doing everything he can to try and protect Maggie in the group. He sets out a signal to them saying, okay, we are here, You guys go hide. They're looking through the house, and there's this guy who's constantly on Daryl's back. No matter what Daryl suggests or what Daryl does, this guy's constantly asking Daryl what the hell he's doing or why is he saying this stuff. And you can see the frustration Daryl is feeling in this moment. He's like, it's just saying, like, just give me a break here. I'm on your team. All of it was good. Enjoyed it. It was great to see Daryl. I just a big fan of Daryl. Daryl and Leah. You see, Daryl even says to her, his plan. He wants to stay with her. I don't know how genuine that is. I don't know if he's only saying that to play the part or if he actually does. But I imagine the Reapers will be done in episode 8. Maybe episode 7 for all I know, because I know Maggie Negan, they're all going to be making their way there now in episode 7. So for all I know, this whole storyline could be wrapped up in episode 7, but I'm kind of leaning towards episode 8. You see Pope actually ended up killing the guy at the end, and Pope is just someone who is quite terrifying. Even Daryl says he is terrified of the Pope, but I am very excited to see how this whole storyline wraps up. My best guess is all the Reapers are going to be dead, but Leah is going to be saved, and Daryl's going to bring Leah back to Alexandria, and we're going to see how all of Daryl and Leah, Daryl and Connie, how's all this going to play out. I don't know, but I really think she is going to be the only remaining survivor of the Reapers. Even just, they always do that. They've always done that from every storyline. They've always kept someone alive from a storyline moving forward, just so you can always remember that storyline. Like Maggie's in the farm, Tara, who's dead now, but she was part of the governor. Same with Sasha, she was another one part of the governor. Terminus, I guess you could say Father Gabriel, Alexandria, of course, Aaron. You've got Lydia as a whisperer. They always keep someone around from each storyline, just so you can always remember that storyline. And I think Leah will more than likely be the Reaper. I'd be surprised if it was just some random Reaper. Of course, Daryl has their relationship. That's one of the reasons I'm leaning more towards Leah. But that's just who I think is going to be the remaining Reaper by the end of episode 8. I'd be shocked if it went into episode 9. I really think the Reaper storyline is going to end this season. But let me know your thoughts on episode 6 in the comment section down below. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Let me know all that in the comment section down below. I'm going to go sit down now and watch episode 7. Very excited for that. Can't believe we're so close to the end of the first half of the final season of The Walking Dead. I think World Beyond season 1 came out as well, or episode 1 of season 2 came out, so I might sit down and watch that later on too. Don't really have much anticipation for that. I'm kind of watching it to see how it wraps up and see how it ties into the Rick Grimes movie, or if all of this was just a complete waste of time. But I will be doing reviews for World Beyond as well, so if you want to hear my thoughts on World Beyond season 2, click that subscribe button, and as always, thanks for watching.